The next race is the human race. Now, the human race is the most diverse race within each other. Obviously, they have different types of skin, they have different cultures, they have different languages. They're very diverse. And because they're very diverse, they are literally everywhere on the face of Stasis. Um, in fact, you can say that humans are expected everywhere, even if they're not respected everywhere. Because they're everywhere, they have a couple of kingdoms that they are in direct control of or that they're predominantly a part of. One of those kingdoms is over here, and it's known as the Kingdom of Aganon, and its capital city is Bastildes. Now, the Kingdom of Aganon is all across the coast of the most eastern ocean, which is the Atropos Ocean. And again, it's a very old kingdom. It's been around for basically since the beginning of the writings that they have on Stasis, and it's predominantly human. The capital city of Bastildes has a silver dragonborn leader, even though it is still predominantly human, and they believe that the silver dragons particularly will help them and guide them. And then we can go down south to the Rawandadi people, and their kingdom is Inuashi, and they are very tribal. They are based off of some more African mentalities, and they have a lot of dealings with races and other cultures that most people across Stasis haven't even heard of. So they're very ambassadorial. They ride and hunt giant reptiles that aren't unlike dinosaurs. And because of that, they're still within the Iron Age because it's very hard to pierce reptilian skin, especially massive reptiles. But they're really interesting in that they're very peaceful and ambassadorial, but they still have arenas and they fight for show. And it brings great honor if you can compete in those arenas. So moving along the bottom part over here, we've got two very similar yet very different human run kingdoms. You've got the kingdom over here, which is now known as the Tao Yun dynasty. Before it was the kingdom of Gao Pan. Gao Pan had a series of wars that completely destroyed all of their infrastructure. And from that destruction rose a new dynasty known as the Tao Yun. And in the middle of it, down here, there's actually a golden city. So the golden city had been abandoned and had been fought over, but now that there's one dynasty that's now taking control of the continent, that's where they have their major hub, if you will. That's where their capital city is. And because it's on a giant gold mine, there's a lot of riches that are now pouring out of the Tao Yun dynasty. Now, across from the Lachesis Ocean, you have the kingdom of Sung Tu. Way before most people's recollections, or even in the history, in the ancient history, people went from the former kingdom of Gao Pan over to create Sung Tu. And now they have very little in common. In fact, they constantly will battle with each other across the ocean in very big oceanic battles and navies, and it's kind of impressive. But for Sung Tu, they have what's known as the Jade Empire. Sung Tu is unique in the fact that you've got the starving working class and you've got the rich upper class. So they try to limit their economy to where the more people that are starving, the more military they have, because the volunteers will go into the military in order to not starve. So you have a lot of untrained people that are quickly trained into the military, but you have millions of them. So if you can kind of think of the difference between the river and the mountain, where you have the mountain that has all of the wealth and the river that feeds into it. So if you can imagine when these two go head to head, you have the million people army, and then you've got people that are more like samurais that kind of go at it. So they really even each other out, even if it's for very differing reasons. Now, the final group of people over here that's predominantly human is the uh, mucro and viscous. So, viscous is very much modeled after Athens, where they have a democracy, and mucro is more like Sparta. So, viscous is the one that's more north, and Sparta is more nestled into the mountains. Sorry, not Sparta, mucro is more nestled into the mountains. Now, with viscous and mucro, humans are more like pawns because they have a magiocracy. So a lot of their government and their way of life is based on, do you have magic? Okay, if you don't have magic, then you're at a lower caste. And interjected into that is they are very closely tied to dragons. As you can see, they are within the dragon mountain range, and the dragonborn are automatically at the top of their caste system. So humans not only are pawns within their own political infrastructure, but they're also pawns with part of the greater game that the dragons play. So they have very little control, even though they're the most predominant race in that area.